nation, somehow you're not patriotic, and we should stand up and say, we are Americans and we have a right to debate and disagree with any administration.
In my early 20s, I was falsely accused of rape in Boston. As it turned out, I was told by the police I came within 3 hours of being indicted by an overzealous district attorney when the victim recanted her story, a story made up to hide her disloyal escapades from her boyfriend. So when it comes to this subject, I'm not objective. We all know how the Duke case is concluded, but one aspect remains raw. In April of 2006, a cadre of closed-minded, guilty by race and class, politically correct, we're smarter than you saps, Duke faculty members created a website called Concerned Duke Faculty. In an open letter to the Duke community, the faculty showed the depths of their self-righteousness and arrogance. In the spring of 2006, the Duke community was rocked by terrible news. We heard that a woman hired to perform at a party thrown by our lacrosse team had accused members of the team of raping her. Neighbors, we were told, heard racial epithets called out at the woman as she departed the party. The criminal proceedings and the media frenzy which followed are perhaps beginning to wind down. For us at Duke, the issues raised by the incident and by our community's responses to it are not. In April, a group of Duke faculty members published an advertisement in the Chronicle. The ad, titled, "What Does a Social Disaster Sound Like?" was mostly a compilation of statements made by Duke students in response to the incident and its immediate aftermath. This ad has figured in many discussions of the event and of the university's response. It has been broadly and often intentionally misread. We urge everyone to read the original ad. We have. Some of us were among the ad signers. The ad has been read as a comment on the alleged rape, the team party, or the specific students accused. We understand the ad instead as a call to action on important long-standing issues on and around our campus, an attempt to channel the attention generated by the incident to addressing these. We reject all attempts to try the case outside the courts and stand firmly by the principle of the presumption of innocence. As a statement about campus culture, the ad deplores a social disaster as described in the student statements, which feature racism, segregation, isolation, and sexism as ongoing problems before the scandal broke, exacerbated by the heightened tensions and its immediate aftermath. The disaster is the atmosphere that allows sexism, racism, and sexual violence to be so prevalent on campus. The ad's statement that the problem won't end with what the police say or what the court decides is as clearly true now as it was then. Whatever its conclusions, the legal process will not resolve these problems. The ad thanked the students speaking individually and the protesters making collective noise. We do not endorse every demonstration that took place at the time. We appreciate the efforts of those who used the attention the incident generated to raise issues of discrimination and violence. There have been public calls to the authors to retract the ad or apologize for it, as well as calls for action against them and attacks on their character. We reject all of these. We think the ad's authors were right to give voice to the students quoted whose suffering is real. We also acknowledge the pain that has been generated by what we believe is a misperception that the authors of the ad prejudged the rape case. As we all know now for sure, the opening letter's first paragraph is bull. And you know, timing is everything. Hours after I cut and pasted the faculty letter, they were removed from the Concerned Duke faculty website. Despite the fact that the rape case was falling apart, some of the Duke faculty remained stubborn in their own superior intelligentsia and were too damn liberal to admit that they were, heaven forbid, wrong. Instead, they indicted their entire campus. They considered the predator male students a microcosm of our society and that all men were truly rapists. It was just a matter of time. Some of those faculty members tarnished the on-campus reputations of innocent students who paid for the privilege of supporting the lifestyle of the tenured. So the next time any liberal tells you Republicans play the race card and bring up Willie Horton, please remind them of a Democrat district attorney named Mike Nifong, who was willing to send innocent college students to jail for decades just so he could use his black constituents to get reelected. Also remember the college faculty members who indicted an entire gender just to pacify the shrill squealings of campus feminists. Remember this when a brochure from Duke University comes in the mail for your college-bound son. What's really disturbing is that Duke is just the tip of the iceberg.
I am woman, hear me roar, in numbers too big to ignore.
So what the hell happened? I'm sure many of you have heard about the whole Don Imus insulting the Rutgers women's basketball team thing. In case some of you are waking up from under the rock, here's what went down last week ago Wednesday on his radio show between Imus and his sidekick Sid Rosenberg and Bernard McCurk, who really set the tone.
So I watched the basketball game last night between a little bit of Rutgers and Tennessee, the women's final.
Yeah, Tennessee won last night. 7th championship for Pat Summitt, man. They beat Rutgers by 13 points.
That's some rough girls from Rutgers, man. They got tattoos and
some hardcore hoes.
That's some nappy-headed hoes there, I'm going to tell you that now.
Oh,
man, that's some... Ooh. And the girls from Tennessee, they all look cute, you know, so... Like, kind of like a... I don't know.
Spike Lee thing.
Yeah.
The Jigaboos versus the Wannabes, that movie that he had.
Yeah, it was a tough...
do the right thing.
I don't know if I'd have wanted to beat Rutgers or not, but they did, right? So,
it is a tough watch. The more I look at Rutgers, they look exactly like the Toronto Raptors.
Well, I guess, yeah.
Only tougher.
So, of course, this gave Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and the National Organization of Women an opportunity to portray the Rutgers basketball women as victims of an old man who effectively dusted off the word jigaboo and sent the world into a tizzy. Now, while I consider this a sticks and stones moment, the whole issue seems to be about a stranger saying something bad that hurt someone else's feelings. Whatever happened to...
I am strong, I am invincible, I am woman.
If these Rutgers basketball players can't take the ravings of an old fool nobody listens to, what's going to happen should any one of them go pro and they have to hear the critiques and taunts of the press and fans after a bad game? Sure, it should never get racial, but if you don't like it, change the First Amendment. The big complaint is that an evil corporation let Imus work in the first place. With that, I'd love to get a chance to hear what music is on any one of these women's iPods, or what kind of music plays at their parties. Where's Jesse and Al complaining about the so-called rap artists like 50 Cent, Akon, or Ludacris, whose song, Use a Hoe, is the instrumental bed you're listening to right now? Should Imus be fired? It's not for me to say, as Al and Jesse have said a lot worse and are still working. But part of growing up is that not everyone is going to love you. People will say bad things, but part of being strong is not acting helpless. This is Bob Parks, Black and White, and you can read my columns and or watch my YouTube videos online. See you next week at the same time on the Moby in the Morning Show.